Alrighty, get us up and going on all platforms here. We are attempting at going live on Instagram and it is not working with me. There we go.
I got it. Hi, Becky.
Hello, my dear.
How are you?
I am good. All right, there we go. Now we are live on all platforms. I am good this evening. It is a Monday, but I tell you, I am so excited for tonight.
Yeah, yeah, I am too. So, we have had Dr. Paul on already, but we really wanted to bring him back. We have gotten a lot of questions, and we thought it would be neat to have him back and just have a chat with us again.
We have. So the last time, for our YouTube friends that don't know, I met Dr. Paul in Salt Lake City just this last October. He did a wonderful presentation out there at the Live It to Lead It Summit. Speaking in regards to hydrogen water, of course, I think I was probably one of the only people that flew halfway across the country and actually flew with my little Echo Go bottle. But he also had the hydrogen water booth set up, and all the people were drinking hydrogen water. And we'll end up and go into explaining, but as we speak, Echo Technologies is Dr. Paul's company. He is a renowned expert in the field of hydrogen water, bringing years of experience. But we will bring him on stage and explain as far as what the hydrogen water is, how he kind of got into hydrogen water, um, that whole realm of information. He's got a fascinating story that dives deep into the world of hydrogen water, and we'll, I'm sure, talk about some of the common myths. We'll shed some light in regards of the reality of the water, why we should incorporate the water, and all that fun stuff. So without further ado, Dr. Paul, welcome to all of our platforms this time instead of just the BNC community.
Well, welcome. Thank you. It's an honor.
Awesome. So, how did you get started with hydrogen water? And what did the missus treat you or teach you as far as the hydrogen water goes?
Well, so originally, my wife, the love of my life, we'll be married 30 years next month. It's amazing to think about that now. But she was not well for the first 10 years of our marriage. So I was looking for whatever I could do to help her. And I ended up having some friends that said, "Hey, I think this water that we added to our organic food store could help her." And I said, "Oh, really? Water? What the heck? I'll try anything." And so, it did help her. I didn't understand why at the time, but they were saying it's because of the pH, it's this, it's that. And I was like, nah, I don't know that I agree that it's pH, but it helped her. So that's a really good thing. But I got to study this and learn more. And so as I began to study the water, I began to understand that there's this thing called ORP, oxidation reduction potential, that was probably what helped my wife in the beginning. I don't think it was hydrogen necessarily, but it's difficult to make ORP without hydrogen. But again, once ORP is in the water, hydrogen can go out of the water, but you could still have ORP. So it's kind of a lot of science and a lot of interesting concepts. But she was helped, and I thought, that's interesting. I want to see what I can learn about this. And so I ended up really doing a deep dive and studying all about it, and came to understand all the amazing things that hydrogen can do. And there was only a handful of them that I even understood back then. Now there's thousands of studies. Back then there was not, because it was 2005 is when I first learned about it. And so I became very passionate because it normalized my wife's menstrual cycle. It really helped her energy wise, thyroid, gynecological issues that she was having. So, of course, it helped her. And so I became very passionate about it. And once I learned more and more, I wanted to educate others. And so that's really what happened.
Which is amazing. So when we look at the structure of water, there's several different ways of going about hydrogen water, right? Like you said, there's thousands of studies. Some of them are with the inhalation method, some of them are within the drinking method, right? Um, how do how does your devices add that molecular hydrogen into the water?
So water is H2O. So you have hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. When they combine, they form a liquid. Well, when you uncombine them or disassociate them, then you have hydrogen and oxygen gas. And that's what we're doing. We're taking H2O, we're separating a small amount of the water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen gas, and then we basically send the oxygen gas out to environment and we dissolve the H2 gas into the remaining H2O liquid. That's what we do in all of our devices. And that's how we do it. And I would say that most people are getting, yay, most people are getting hydrogen in water. So they're drinking it. You mentioned inhalation, and we're adding inhalation devices very soon. But the easiest and therefore most effective mechanism to get hydrogen in your body is drinking the water. Some you're going to be able to go in bathtubs because we have those, we're adding them as well. We have inhalation. We have many ways that you can get hydrogen into the body. But the most common is through water. So you can drink water that has hydrogen gas in it, and therefore it gets into your system.
And so what is because I know this is one of the questions, so I'm going to end up and ask it for her. What is the physiology behind how that is going to get into the system?
So hydrogen is very tiny. It can go through metal, glass, plastic. It definitely can go through our body. So it gets in through our system, through the stomach, through the intestinal tract, through all of these things. And so that's where hydrogen goes. Hydrogen is a signal modulator. So as long as it's in the body, in the right areas of the body, it gives direction for other things to function the way they're supposed to when hydrogen is present. And so that's really what's happening. They also stimulate other mechanisms and other things like ghrelin secretions, which can help with neuroprotective effects or brain. So we really have a lot of things that it can do. We don't understand them all, that's for sure. There's over 1,335 studies now on hydrogenstudies.com. We just uploaded more today. And so there's 1,335 studies
As you
today.
say, I seen that. I was looking at the website today. And yeah, it used to be 1,250, and I
Right.
noticed today that it was updated. And I want to say that there's 450 plus that are just in regards of the water specifically, because
Yeah.
we know that in Japan, right, they're using this, they're well above or I should say ahead of us by this mark, because they're using it in that medical model as far as treatment.
China,
That's
China,
yeah,
China is as well.
yeah,
They're using more inhalation. Japan's using it more in water. Worldwide, we're using more in water, but inhalation is becoming popular because some doctors like to charge for someone to sit and breathe for 40 minutes. So that's fine, but we are introducing inhalation units that will be affordable for people to get in their home if they want to have that in addition. But really, the whole point is to get hydrogen into your body, and it's going to do what it does. So it's a lot easier grabbing a glass of water than sitting and having to breathe for 40 minutes. So
yeah, absolutely. And obviously, they go anywhere, right?
Yeah.
I flew with mine. Yes, it was
Yeah.
empty when I flew with it, but um you also made, so backtrack here. One of the other things that was a question that was asked, do you know the hydrogen type that is added into the water?
H2.
Okay.
It's called molecular hydrogen or diatomic hydrogen or H2, and it's neutral. There's no charge to it, but that's what's going in the water. Mhm.
Okay. And that's one of the other reasons why I like the Echo bottle. One, oh man, I gotta stop and think. It's been 2.5 years, 3 years ago, maybe. It was one of the things that I will say is I started on the hydrogen tabs, right? Kind of like
Mhm.
anyone in
Mhm.
the thing with the hydrogen tabs that I now know is obviously hydrogen is odorless, tasteless, and colorless.
Right.
You should not end up and have a metallic taste to your water. You should not have a gray glass of water that you are drinking. And that's what these tabs do. And I want pure water, then I'm going, that it has benefit to what I'm drinking. And there's so many benefits to it, right? You talked about your wife, but one of my favorite stories that we were talking about in Utah was the man that had the tremors.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I was speaking at IHA, which is the International Hyperbaric Association, and I had someone from Australia who was there, and he had the same thing. He had tremors, and we gave him some water, and he came back and said, "Wow, they're gone." And that's amazing. So we've duplicated that. We've done it obviously more than once, but yes, it can help with brain function. It can help with motor skills. It can help with those kind of things. So I we haven't found many things that it doesn't help with, but I love it for that reason. There's no contraindications. There's no um, negative things that have been observed. So that's really lucky and really great for us. But I would tell you that primarily what hydrogen's doing is reducing oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. The reason that is so very important is because disease comes from the combination of oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. So, what we would say is that it's the leading cause of disease. And so, it's really important that we lessen oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, whether it's joint issues or it's other types of things like, diabetes, Parkinson's, cancer, all these things, they come from oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. So we're not saying anything about disease specific, even though there are a lot of studies on specific diseases. We are saying that what is considered the leading cause of disease, hydrogen has a beneficial role with those things, which is oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. So that's what's great, because anything that's going on in the body that is a result of oxidative stress and chronic inflammation may be helped. And that's what's important to understand, is that help is what you're looking for. And with hydrogen, help is on the way.
So the last time you were on, you talked about somebody that worked with you that had high blood pressure.
Right.
Can you talk about that again?
Yeah. I mean, there's been many people with high blood pressure that have had positive effects. The I think the gentleman I was talking about had many heart bypass surgeries. So he was in his 70s, and he had something like 32 or 35. I don't remember now, but he had many, many bypass surgeries. Um, and and he was a marathon runner. I mean, he was a pretty active person. And so he hated the fact that he kept having to go in yearly and get bypass surgeries. So he started drinking the water because he came to work for the company, and he um, drank the water. And so he was feeling better and better. He went to his cardiologist, and the cardiologist said, "What the heck are you doing? because if you keep it up, you'll never need another surgery again. And uh, to my knowledge, he has not had a surgery since, and that has been now 10 years.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, he's doing great. So I mean, again, there's no guarantees, but there's millions of people now that drink hydrogen water every day and are having great effects with sleep, with energy, with, you know, sports, with being not having fatigue levels and all these kind of things. So anyways, I would say that those are, it's worth it, right? It's worth it to try.
absolutely. Because, like you said, we're drinking water anyway. So when we have the ability to structure water and then end up and, add hydrogen to it specifically, which
Yeah.
technically it's a form of structuring when we're adding the hydrogen up into the water.
Right.
I know people over on Instagram are commenting it as well. With the recovery has been great. The mental health that has improved as well, just from drinking the water for the last couple weeks. And the improvement they're seeing. It's one of the things that it's really kind of hard. I said I can never end up and be a critic because that's one of the things when I recommend it, I get a lot is, well, what do you feel with it? I
Yeah.
feel better, right? I feel the
Right.
mental
Right.
clarity. I feel the energy, but it's not an energy associated like with coffee or caffeine or,
Right.
anything along those lines. So it's really hard to end up and describe, but I'm like, man, if I don't, I notice a difference, right?
Right.
Um,
It's not a,
but
it's not a, to your point, it's not a stimulant, but it
Mhm.
does regulate energy and facilitates, I would say, a regulation of what's energy homeostasis or whatever people will understand. But basically, you'll have the energy you need to do what you're doing, but it's not a stimulant per se. You don't have a big increase and then a decrease. So it's nice.
Yeah, I was asked a question um, from one of my clients was, I don't feel anything. And I said, don't drink it.
Mm,
Don't use it for a couple of 2 days. I
yeah,
said, you can tell a difference. And I said, that is how I know it's working, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, it's like you can't quite put your finger on like what it is, but when you don't have it, you can tell you're a little more, I don't know.
Yeah. And that's a great point, Sherry, because sometimes we feel better and we don't really know we feel better because we just feel better. And
Right.
unless you're keeping a journal of what you're experiencing before you started drinking the water, and now you're going, wait, none of that stuff is happening anymore, you really don't know because we just feel better. And that's the new you. And so you're like, I don't feel anything. Well, it's like taking vitamin C. Do you feel something? No, you don't feel anything when you take vitamin C either. But the point is, hopefully you're taking real vitamin C. But the point is, we we can have that. And I love your solution, which is, well, stop taking it for a few days.
Mhm.
Because I had a lady about a year ago who came to the office and said, I really know this is working. And I'm like, well, that's good. Because you've had it for a couple of years and you've promoted it to a lot of patients and people, because she worked in the doctor's office. And she goes, well, what I'm saying is I'm bringing my machine in, um, to be repaired. She had to bring her machine in to be repaired for some reason. And she said, I've been away from it for 2 days and I'm coming back today to pick it up. I've been away from it for 2 days. And she goes, I am sore for the first time in 2 years when I worked out the last 2 days. I really didn't know how it was helping me not be sore in my muscles until it's gone. I
Right.
can't wait to get it back in my system. And I thought, that's great. That's exactly the kind of thing that you would notice, right? It's like all of a sudden I'm sore. And so, and I'm not telling everyone you'll never be sore again if you work out and you drink the water, but I'm saying that was her. She didn't feel sore when she worked out. And I can tell you that fatigue is lessened, and, you
Hmm.
know, lactate is lessened in the body when you are drinking the water. So
And so speaking of the units, because I know you just made some upgrades to the units, one of the questions that was posed out there when I, asked people if they had any questions, what is the metal that is used in the unit and how is it safe and non-reactive?
You're talking about the electrodes?
Mm-hmm.
They're platinum. So you have a titanium base metal with layers of platinum, and platinum is not reactive with water. So you're not having the reactivity. The reason platinum is used is because it's not really reactive with water. And let's say that it even was. Nanoparticles of platinum actually are beneficial to you if you look at the studies on that. However, we really recommend people use really clean water. And the cleaner the water, there's nothing in there to react in the first place. So we are using platinum, and we have tested our products, and there's nothing added but hydrogen. We've gone through independent laboratories to test what's there after it goes through, and there was nothing there. And because we've had people that are like, "Oh, this was in my water," we're like, "Not from our machine, it wasn't," you know. And so we've had to do those tests, but um, there's no there shouldn't be any metals getting into the water because it's platinum, and so that'll help. So
Now, what is the, what do I want to say, the waste of the water? How much is retained in like your in-home systems versus all I have is the bottles. I love my bottles. They're a lot more convenient. I can take them, like I said, on the go with me. But how much is the
waste, there's, well, in the hydrogen system, so whether it's the bottles or our devices, we have devices that produce the water on demand. There's almost no waste in those systems. So you could say, it's 100% yield. We don't have wastewater going out when you're using the hydrogen water. So when you're using the hydrogen water, effectively you're getting 100% yield of the water.
perfect?
So for those that are in areas where they're wanting to not waste water, that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see over on Instagram again. I did an hour ski powered by hydrogen water, and I felt invincible. That's amazing.
Love it.
That's great. Uh,
Yeah.
so, how much water should a person drink? And then the second part of that is many of us are also using copper water bottles. Can you take the copper water and put it into the Echo Go and then hydrogenate it?
I wouldn't. Um, I wouldn't do it. Copper can react with. Well, let's say this. I wouldn't put the hydrogen water in copper because hydrogen can react with the copper metal itself and cause an issue with those bottles. So if you want to take the copper water and put it in and put hydrogen in it, that may be all right. But what I would really recommend is drink your hydrogen water, and if you also want copper through water, then drink the water from a copper in there. That's what I would recommend. I wouldn't try to combine those modalities and try and come up with some magic thing. So yeah, but there's nothing wrong with copper. Copper is amazing, actually. I love
Mhm.
copper. There's actually colloidal copper out there. I mean, you can get copper, and I like it. I think it's great for us. But I wouldn't put hydrogen water in a copper container because it can react.
That makes sense.
So what I actually do is I solarize water. So I set my jug of water outside in the
Yeah,
sun, and then I pull it, back into, and then pour it
yeah,
into my Echo Go,
that's
and
great.
I drink like this big container of solarized water
Nice.
um, throughout the day.
Yeah. So the water is, yeah, it's actually being ionized by the sun, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's great. It's great. Um, So the beautiful thing with the bottles is when you push them, you can see hydrogen is going up, but in the bottom, oxygen's coming out. We don't use the same mechanism as, for example, the tablet. You were talking about the tablets or the pills before. Those use magnesium in a reactive state, which is why the water's turning gray, because you're not reacting all of the magnesium. And that's also why you have the metallic tastes, because you're not actually reacting all of the magnesium. You're only getting a partial reaction. And so you're drinking magnesium in a reactive state. So that's what's happening. And not everybody enjoys the taste of magnesium. And so compliance is lower. And so here, when you put amazing water in, there's no taste added. And that's what is awesome. So that's also why we came out with these bottles years ago, and we stopped selling tablets, because we were one of the first companies to sell tablets. But I didn't care for them myself. And the bottles are so much cleaner. It's a much cleaner solution.
So we have a question
Yes.
that just came in. It says, if you're traveling with your Echo Go and no access to clean water source, what is the best water to use?
If you're traveling, let's say good, better, best. How about that? Because we'll give people a range. Bottled water that is reverse osmosis or distilled or a combination of both would be a good clean water. And if you get water in these small little bottles, I'm not a big fan of that. I think it's less money just to go to a grocery store and get a gallon container and pour it in. So that's good. Better would be to find, let's just say good to best. Best would be to find a glass bottle. And you can do that at several big box stores like Walmart or whatever. You can get water from Italy. You can get water in glass. You can get Voss, the brand Voss. Sometimes it's in plastic. Sometimes it's in glass. But I would just get purified water. You could also use water from, what do you call it? Sorry, my mind just went completely blank. Spring water, sorry. You could use spring water as well, as long as it's been filtered. That would be your better. So good, better, best. Best would be going with pure water in glass, and anything in glass, like, Poland Springs, I know, is a spring water out there that's clean. So it's up to you, but just know that if you put water in these and there's minerals in the water, high content, it can have calcium build up slowly over time on the electrodes. That will lessen your hydrogen production. And so you'll need to pour a little bit of vinegar in there to just dissolve away the calcium. But that's the thing to keep in mind. But I'm a fan of purified water. I'm a fan of spring water. I'm a fan of, having gratitude and holding the water in your hand and infusing it with love and compassion. Any of that, I love. There's nothing in the world wrong with it. And whether there's science or not on it, it's good. It's no problem. So, do it. But the water that you choose to use, make sure there's no contaminants. That's the only thing I would say, is make sure there's no contaminants in the water you're using in our devices.
So if you're in the airport,
yeah,
right?
Just grab a bottle of water and get the best possible one you can.
Gotcha. Okay.
Preferably one that is coming from higher up in the springs, because it's going to be lower in deuterium, which we haven't even gone that realm with anyone in regards of deuterium. But
and I just traveled this weekend, and this came with me. Nice. Yeah. Now we went by car, but it was still on me, and I used it all weekend, because again, I know the benefits, because I know how I feel when I don't drink it, and it is not worth not drinking it.
Yeah, I will tell you, we have tested water, the deuterium levels before when it was, natural water, and then going through our devices, and it does lower the deuterium going through our machines. I haven't tested the bottles. We haven't tested that, but we did test the machines, and it did lower. It didn't remove, but it did lower the deuterium. For those that are concerned about deuterium, I don't know that I'm part of that camp, but I've seen studies that show deuterium is anti-cancer. The higher amounts you get, I've seen studies showing that it's going to kill us all. So I don't really know, but I would tell you that deuterium is in every water source there is. There's nothing you can do but keep your gut working the way it's supposed to. But at least water going through the Echo machines, like the H2 machine, the Ultimate, the server, will lower deuterium levels based on a study we did about 6 or 7 years ago when I started hearing about deuterium. But for those that don't know what deuterium is, it's another isotope of hydrogen. It's called heavy water, or
Heavy form hydrogen.
yeah. So that's what it is. But long story short, we don't make deuterium. We just lessen it. We lessen it a little bit. But
Well,
anyways,
and I know many people that end up with like chronic fatigue, other metabolic issues, especially more so in our like leptin resistance side of the camp,
yeah,
where we end up when we look at the deuterium aspect. Because one, yes, it can be in our foods, right? Our
right,
higher sugar foods, our grains, those
for
type of
sure.
foods are going to have
Yes,
the higher deuterium. That
yep,
is where it becomes more problematic,
yeah,
specifically. Not to say that it's not a problem in water, but that is more the realm of
right,
going back to more the seasonal eating. Like I said, that's why,
sure,
we're on the water topic, not necessarily the food topic, but
yeah,
I do know people that have had issues. And so they're like, well, why would we add a certain, molecule of hydrogen when we're trying to get rid of this other? And that
uh,
is the difference. Is there
yeah,
is beneficial forms of hydrogen, and then there are
right.
things like the deuterium. So
Yeah, no, you're right, and I would say it's similar to fluoride, right? It's a stacking effect. You want to limit the amount of fluoride, and fluoride also occurs naturally, right? There's multiple types of fluoride, but the more plastic you eat in, the more fluoride, and so it's a stacking effect, and toothpaste and all these kind of things. So you can make choices to limit some of these things in your life so that you don't have the stacking effect that can occur. And I think that's wise. I think you can do that with everything, and I think it's wise and prudent to do so.
So I got another question. What is the best way to clean your Echo Go bottle?
Echo Go or Echo Go Plus,
I believe they have an Echo Go.
the white one. Okay.
No, the black one. Sorry.
Oh, Echo
Echo
Go
Go Plus.
Plus.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, you of course can take the lid off and hand wash. You can. I'm not going to do it now. It'll make a big mess and be very funny on camera here. But you can remove the generator from the bottle by simply unscrewing that, and then you could hand wash the bottle part of it. You never submerge this generator because there's a charge port here and there's electronics inside. So if you do, it won't like you. It will not work as well as it did prior to being submerged. So hand wash, and then as I said, if you look down in the bottle and you see the electrodes are nice and silver looking, then they're fine. If they look white or caked on, then that's calcium or mineral content, and you would then put some vinegar and dissolve that calcium, and that's really all there is to it. But if you use clean pure water, then you'll never have to clean any minerals off. And if you're never leaving, another thing, if you never leave water in here for days, then you'll never have to clean it. But if you do leave water in here for days and you come back to it, the water can go bad inside. And then you would want to clean it out. And you could use hypochlorous acid. We make a product called the Echo Clean, which makes hypochlorous acid. And you could spray it down in the bottle. You can spray every aspect of it inside. If it has a moldy smell, water can go bad when it's sitting. And if it does have like a moldy smell, then I always clean them with hypochlorous acid water that we from the Echo Clean, and that does wonders. But that's all you'll ever need to do to clean it.
And then if it's the white one, the travel one,
Yeah, they're both. Yeah, the Echo Go,
right.
it has a cleaning mode to it, but I don't recommend using that. Just use the same thing I just told you about the black bottle. Use a little bit of vinegar. It's far better than using the cleaning cycle. That's why we didn't add a cleaning cycle to this, because really it's ineffective. And so I would say the only thing you need to do to really clean it is if there's calcium buildup, and then you can use vinegar. So now, how people ask all the time how long hydrogen stays in the body. It can stay in the body for a while. It can stay in the body for an hour, a few hours. It depends on the situation. So don't worry about that. Just drink the water. It'll be there. And really, what's more important to understand is, depending on the reactions that are happening in your body, sometimes those reactions can linger for a few days. And so the benefits will continue, even if you just drink one glass. And so that's important to understand. Now, the big question that people ask is, how long will hydrogen stay in water when you make it? So let's talk about a glass, because these are the glasses I drink out of. I like glass. And so if you put water in here, you would have up to 3 hours, 3 to 5 hours to drink it. So an hour and a half, typically in a bottle like this, if you really made some great water, which this maximizes at 4.5 parts per million. Let's say you opened it and you poured it in to this glass. Let's say you've got an hour and a half to 2 hours. You should have already consumed it within the hour and a half to 2 hours. That's important to understand. If you can't drink a glass of water in an hour and a half or 2 hours, we have coaching courses to help you. No, I'm kidding. But the reality is you should drink a glass of water within an hour. Just use that as a rule of thumb. And I think every 2 hours we should be drinking water in our system anyway. So just think about it from that perspective. I got to drink this glass within an hour. It takes me about 2 minutes to drink a glass of water like this, and so it's fine. It's not that much. This would be like less than a minute. It's only 10 ounces. You can put 2 of these in this glass. So anyways, drink. And I always say half your body weight in ounces for proper hydration. It does not have to all be hydrogen water. You can drink different types of water. You can drink copper water, like we were talking earlier. You can drink water that's been purified without hydrogen during the day. But if you're really drinking the right amount of water, it's half your body weight in ounces for proper hydration. And if all you have is this bottle, then drink 3 to 6 of these a day if you can. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So you talk about a glass of water, and that's the other reason why, I invested in the Echo Ghost, because it's a closed container, right? So it's not coming in contact with that oxygen. It's not losing that hydrogen out unless you're sitting there, opening and closing it. But the other thing I want to say real quick, no matter what streaming platform you're on, if you guys have any questions for Paul, let us know. Put them in the chat. I'm watching all the chats. So let us know if you have questions. But the other thing that I will say with the Echo Go versus the Echo Go Plus is the different amount of therapeutic hydrogen that it ends up puts in there. Which the Echo Go is a little bit less. It's 1.5, 1.8, somewhere in there.
It maxes out at 1.8. And just remember, it's like a car. They say your 0 to 60 is this many seconds. It's not always that. Like, there are so many things. Are you going downhill, uphill? You going straight? You got 5 people in the car, 1 person in the car. Are your tires good, not good? I mean, is the car 10 years old? Is it brand new? There's a lot of parameters that go into this. So, understand manufacturers post data based on testing, but some people are like, well, but you said it's 4.5 and it only got 4.4, or whatever. You have to understand that testing these things is tough too. And so maximum with the Echo Go, the white portable bottle, is 1.8. It's over 1.8. I just say 1.8.
Parts per million.
Yeah, parts per million. These are 4.5 max. Now, nobody needs 4.5 parts per million of hydrogen. So it doesn't mean you won't like it. It doesn't mean it's not great, but you don't need that. And so understand that this has a 5-minute and a 10-minute cycle. If it's the 5-minute cycle, you're going to roughly get over 2.2 parts per million. We claim maximum 2.5, but you're going to most likely get over 2 parts per million when you run this beautiful bottle at 5-minute cycle. If you do a 10-minute cycle, then it gets maximum 4.5 parts per million. But again, what is considered therapeutic? Half a part per million.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't necessarily need almost 10 times. Now, what I would say is most people like the water at a 1 part per million because they feel a little bit of an increased energy. And so any of our devices do that. In their normal use, even this one with the 5-minute cycle versus 10, it's going to get over 1 part per million. And so you can be benefited. You can be happy. So I just want to say that very transparently that, testing these things is hard. We use a laboratory using gas chromatography to test these things. And it's not easy for you to test in your house, to obviously, unless you have a gas chromatography device in your house. But most of us don't, including me. I don't have that. And so we have a laboratory that does that. But understand that any of our devices, any of the Echo branded devices, are going to give you far more than what's considered therapeutic. So you can be confident with that. And just be careful. We are now selling almost 20,000 of these bottles a month.
Which is kind of leading to the next question, because someone ended up ordering, and I know on the website it flat out says, there is a shipping delay. But yeah.
Not right now. There's not actually. We have more than we have orders for, so that's great.
So one of the other questions, and I know we kind of touched on it in regards of how long the hydrogen remains in the body, but also how much should we be drinking, and if someone is a bodybuilder, what would you recommend for the amount of water they take in?
Well, so half your body weight in ounces is based on basic needs. If you're exercising and you're sweating, then you'll need to increase your water intake based on how much you're sweating out, because you'll need to drink more water than someone who is not exercising and not sweating a bunch of water out. If you use a sauna, you're going to replace that water too, because you're losing water volume. Sometimes if you're in a colder climate, you're going to lose more water because the body uses water to regulate body temperature. So I would say that if you're a bodybuilder and you're exercising and spending a lot of time in the gym, which you're not going to be a bodybuilder if you don't spend a lot of time in the gym, you'll need to increase your water intake to probably an ounce per pound that you weigh, because you're going to then replenish the water that you may have lost during sweating or other metabolic processes. So that's what I would say. But most people that are bodybuilding really understand the science of their body. But the thing that I would say is, many years ago, we had a wonderful lady in California that was a bodybuilder, bikini model, whatever you want to call it. She was in her 50s, and she beat out people in their 30s because she started drinking our water. And her coach said, "Holy cow, what are you doing? I've never seen your body respond this well and efficiently." And she goes, "I started drinking this water and it's changing me. I feel better. I feel different." And they're like, "Oh my gosh, your body, I've been coaching you for years." He had been coaching her for many years. And they said, "I've never seen your body respond like this." So it's great. So we do have people that are athletes. We do have um, people that are drinking our water for athletic purposes because they won't fatigue as much and what have you. But also, the body responds to muscle fiber, the way it's building muscle and all these things. It is different. So I play with it, have fun with it. So
To say, yeah, you got some big name people that are using the water as far as athletes go,
yeah,
but not gonna lie, it's out there. I mean, anywhere from tennis to boxing and
yeah,
beyond, right?
yeah.
Um,
Well, the Las Vegas Raiders have our
yeah,
machine. Yeah.
yeah.
There's another team I can't talk about yet that's on the East Coast. That's a football team that's wanting to do it. And yeah, so there are pro soccer players. There's all different kind of people. Pro basketball players as well. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely
UFC has our systems in their headquarters. So yeah, yeah. Mhm.
awesome. Yeah, just looking for questions here. I know
Are
we
there it
have.
says, are there better or best times? No, I wouldn't drink close to bedtime unless you want to get up and pee. But I would drink a couple hours before you go to bed at least. And I really like the idea of drinking during the day. That's when you need it, because that's when you're functioning. During the night, you're supposed to be regenerating. You're supposed to be detoxifying. Your body's getting stuff out. And if you have to get up and pee, you're interrupting sleep. And so I don't recommend drinking pounding water right before you go to bed. But it's your decision. Maybe you like to get up and pee. I don't know. Uh,
Although I would say there is benefits to the antioxidant side
yes,
of the hydrogen water prior to going to bed. So even if you drink,
small.
and one of them or
Yes,
something before
yes,
going to bed, and we kind of talked about that in regards of the water to the body.
yeah,
The If we talk about all of the water of the body, right, the exclusions of water, all of this, then getting that hydrogen water into that as well,
yeah,
to help boost that. It's not going to create the flushing effect with the
yeah,
hydrogen water as what standard tap water or water that is just going to flow right through us, because it's
right.
hydrating on that cellular level.
Yeah, I agree.
But
Yeah. So, what other things should we talk about? It's safe for everyone. Babies, pregnant, amazing women who are pregnant, and it's excellent for you. And sometimes edema can happen in your ankles. That does occur less when you're drinking the water during pregnancy. Many years ago, there was a study in Korea where the IQ of the child was higher when they drank the water. So, there's a lot of cool things you could do. Um, but the good news is there's no study showing it harmed people, and so that's what's really important. I would say that you can drink it. You don't have to be concerned about getting 100% of your water being eco water. That is definitely not something you need to worry about. But just drinking it throughout the day and getting a good supply. In most of the studies, like on diabetes and other disease models, in the studies, they were only drinking 900 ml, or roughly 16 ounces of water per day, and they had tremendous benefits. So that would be this is 10 ounces. So it's 1.5 of these per day. And that's therapeutic. So I would just say, like I said, 3 to 6 of these a day. You're doing great. You're doing great. I know that most people that have our systems, that's mostly the water they drink because they kind of become a water snob once they've had Echo water in their life. However, again, you can leave your home, and if you forget this bottle, it's not the end of the world. You don't have to freak out. You can
I'm
do it.
I might disagree with you, Paul.
Ah,
I
Right?
tend to get called bougie with my water, with my
yeah,
minerals. So, like I said, I was probably the only one that flew to that conference that actually brought my own water bottle, right? I
yeah.
I tend to be a little extra on that side of things,
I
but
love it. Well, that's
um
because you're so smart.
but I do want to give also, we have several BNC members. One of the perks of being a BNC member is they're in studio. So
Yep.
if anyone wants to ask questions,
Yeah.
give me a thumbs up.
And I know that Kevin asked the question about how long it's in the body. Typically, hydrogen can stay in the body hour, a few hours. It can be in there a while, depending on how you got it into the body in the first place. So yeah, it's going to be in there a little while for sure.
We did have a question. Is it especially good after an injury?
Oh yeah, good question. So after injuries, your body is building muscle and connections and all kinds of stuff, and even bone. So it's absolutely beneficial to drink the water during an injury because your body will improve faster. It will reduce inflammation. It will help rebuild. So, absolutely, that's a perfect time to drink the water.
Well, in any type of injury, some of the studies, again, reverting back to the hydrogenstudy.com website,
Yep.
several of the studies that because that's the nerd I am, right? I read these studies. Now, yes, they use the different types of water in these studies, but
Yep.
also the aspect of anywhere from burns
Yep.
to the AMPK, mTOR pathway,
Yep.
creating that autophagy. I mean, there's so many studies, whether it be drinking the water or inhaling the hydrogen water. There's so many studies. So definitely check out, which you can actually find it by going to the Echo H2O.com website. And then at the top, they have a menu, or a tab, I should say, that says studies.
Mm.
It'll pull up any study where you can actually look up and search by, you know, class, body part, test subject. I mean, you can, if
Oh
you
yeah.
want to see the rat study, or you want to see the
Yeah.
human studies, or,
Yeah.
whatever you end up and want, because that's one of the things that I get specifically. When I'm talking about it is, oh, it was done on rats, or, oh, it was done in, the inhalation method versus drinking method versus, all of these. And it's like, okay, narrow your searches down, end up, and I think there's like 200 and, I don't know, 200 and some human studies, right? So even out
239.
of, there you go. I knew it was two something. I mean, like I said, you can narrow it down so much to what you specifically are looking for, um, as far as the injury or diabetes or metabolism or whatever,
Right. Right.
insulin,
Right. That's
because it
awesome.
does
Yeah,
help with diabetes as well.
for sure. There's 62 studies on diabetes, and I mean related to diabetes, and there's a ton of studies. There's a ton of studies on a lot of things, but and here's the thing: we're learning every day. We're learning more and more. It's not like there's anyone, including me, who knows everything there is to know. It's just not the case. And as this continues, 5 years from now, we'll be going, oh my gosh, this is what and so we're learning. And anyone that tells you they know everything is just ego. So I will tell you, I don't know everything. I'll never know everything. I want to learn everything, but I'll never know everything. And there are some parts of science, I think we all know this, that it changes too. Like you think this is it, and then 5 years later, like, no, that wasn't actually what happened. We thought that's what was happening, but now we know. But that's the good news with hydrogen is there's no negatives. It's not like we're going to find out, oh my gosh, it's killing people. It's natural to your body. You're supposed to produce it. It's part of flatulence. This is, what we need to understand is that it's a part of us. It's what we're supposed to be. And that's the beauty of it is because of gut damage, we lose an ability to produce the amount of hydrogen we would. And we need to repair our gut, and the water can do that. That's one of the biggest thing people get excited about is those that have issues, food allergies, gluten and dairy issues, all kinds of things like this. Within a short amount of time, it can help you if you're drinking the right amount of the water every day. You can have improvements in your gut and your intestinal tract.
And so one of the other questions is in regards to the neurological function and recovery.
Mm-hmm.
The benefits, does it have an effect on it?
Yes, there are 22 studies related to Parkinson's that we have found. There's probably more now that we've updated the site, but the last time I looked, there was 22. It was a week or two ago. But the mechanism is through what's called gastric ghrelin, which is an mRNA expression of ghrelin that will go to the brain. There was no striatal hydrogen, which just means there's no hydrogen gas that was going to the brain. It was ghrelin secretions that they're crediting for the benefits. We have had brain mapping done, and within a few minutes of drinking the water, there was a plasticity changes. There were alpha and beta wave changes within minutes. And so that's the first thing people typically feel. If they have ADD or ADHD or other brain related or neural related things, that they are going to feel pretty quickly, because as soon as the water hits the stomach, the hydrogen gas can selectively stimulate gastric ghrelin. Yeah. So it's exciting. Tell everybody you know. Let's help heal the planet.
Well, and
That's
it's
the
simple,
reality.
right?
Yeah.
Because just like I said, if you are buying, the tablets and then you're drinking gray metallic water, it's nasty.
Right.
I
It is.
still, I think maybe even have my bottle around here somewhere. But obviously I haven't used it. But as far now, I know at one point, when we talked about last time, you were updating the bottles. Did you do some updating to the bottle? I know you kind of rebranded the lid because it now says
Oh
Echo
yeah.
Go. But what
Yeah.
new features are in the updated version of the bottle?
Well, mostly we just increased the battery and the electronics part of it. There is a UV light that we added, but it wasn't added to have any claim or to say we added it to do any certain thing. We initially did it just in transparency because there was a statute where, based on COVID, if you added UV light to something, you no longer had that 25% duty from China. So we did it because it saved a lot of duty by adding UV light. So we didn't add UV light to have a claim on disinfection or anything else, but it can't hurt, right? And so you won't see it on our website because we're not making a claim about it. We're not doing it. We just added it so that we could not have that. But I think that whole statute went away now anyway. So, but really, it's all about improving. As we started to make more and more of them, we wanted to make sure that there were no issues quality wise. When we start producing that many, we wanted to make sure that the efficacy and everything else. And so we improved a number of things just internally with the working of it, just to make sure that it's better and better and better. So.
Yeah, it's so the first time you were on, Of course, I ordered the travel one and didn't say anything, used it. And then casually, as I was reading some of the studies, right, and so forth, and I would casually tell my husband about it. Midway through December, he's like, "Well, I want one."
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh, okay, you don't have to ask me twice." So that's how I ended up getting this one.
Boom.
He gets the travel one until I want it,
Yeah.
but you know, but it was funny because the studies that I read and conveyed to him, he has we're both type 2 diabetics. We're off our meds.
Uh-huh.
And we still have lingering high blood pressure. And so that was kind of the push that as I was talking about those
Yeah.
benefits and stuff, because he wants off his medicine
Right.
for that. So that was a big plus. So yeah,
That's awesome. That's the right reason to try things and to do things and to improve self, right?
yep.
So I'm excited in time as you experience the benefits and can say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is what happened. That's great.
Well, and actually, Becky and I, speaking, she kind of geeks out on some of this stuff. So, her and I are going to do our own study, and I'm going to start taking my blood pressure readings,
Hmm.
and we're going to start like charting it and showing how my blood pressure is improving
That's
just
awesome.
based off of drinking
Yeah.
hydrogen water. So,
Yeah.
we'll have to
Well,
look at.
we have to say Echo Water now because I can't tell you since Joe Rogan talked about Echo and it has blown up, we have to shut down about 5 companies a day that are using our videos to sell their own products. And we had, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5, 6 companies on Amazon selling knockoff bottles that, and they would even say Echo Go in the write up, but it's not our product. And so we had to 5 companies a day we were having to shut down because they're sketchy companies that were using our brand, which is trademarked. They were using our brand inappropriately. And so it's crazy what happens. But unfortunately, people got hoodwinked. They got duped into buying inferior products, and unfortunately, a couple of them went on our site and said we bought an inferior product and we didn't feel any benefits, and then we bought yours and we feel benefits. There's a big difference, and that's great to have on your Facebook page when they're like, don't get scammed by the other companies that say they're Echo Go. If it doesn't say, and this is the thing, if it doesn't say Echo Go right there in the bottle, it's not. And so, and you can, on yours, you see it on the top, you
Mhm.
see the Echo Technologies on the bottom. And so, yeah, you can see it. You know if it's genuine or not, and um, it's just funny what happens. But they'll take the videos of Gary Brecka talking, and then they'll cut it off before he says Echo. They'll just take his videos about hydrogen and then try and sell their own bottles and stuff. It's just amazing.
That's
But
just I was
I'm
gonna
so
say
grateful.
I've seen that
Yeah,
because Hydrolite was one of them
yeah, yeah.
that was trying, but yeah,
Well,
they're
there's one bottle, and I won't say names out there, but there was a bottle that's a glass bottle. The top and bottom the top and bottom is stainless steel. It produces very little hydrogen, guys, and it's not even really a hydrogen bottle. It's an alkaline bottle. So they're putting hypochlorous acid in there for you to drink. And so just know that um, don't be duped. Don't be duped.
order from the company direct. The
Yeah,
links are all over
yeah,
Facebook, YouTube,
yeah,
Instagram.
yeah,
We've shared them on all platforms.
yeah,
Um, End up and click that link. Order from the company direct.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we don't have like resellers on Amazon. We don't have that. So just buy from us and you get a 5-year warranty, not a 3-month warranty like these other products. So, well, thank you ladies. You're so incredible and so gracious to have me on and to have me being able to educate people All I would tell you is that anyone you know that's suffering from anything, this may very well help them. So please try it. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Paul.
Thank
Absolutely.
you.
We've gone over the hour again,
Yep.
but we will be respectful of your time, and I appreciate you coming back.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Let me know if you want to do it again. So, and we can pick topics. We can pick topics.
Okay.
Yeah. So, thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful evening.
You
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah,
Thanks
bye-bye.
again.
All right. Bye, Paul. How amazing. Anyone that is still on for the BNC community have anything? Otherwise, I will see you over in the community. We have the nutrition meeting. I will be jumping over there. For those of you still on Facebook, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, feel free to join us in the BNC community. It's just bncommunity.com. Awesome.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, have the supportive community. Also, don't forget to follow Becky and I on Instagram and Facebook. And don't forget to subscribe so you know when we go live. So we
And
have another guest, I believe, next Monday.
mhm.
And he's a doctor. And so we'll be posting information about that. So we will see everyone here again on next Monday. Thanks so much, Becky.
Absolutely, my dear. And like you said, definitely follow us, subscribe. We're also on Spotify. So
Yes,
you can find the podcast on Spotify. All of our previous podcasts will start getting uploaded over there. So if you're more of a Spotify download listen, follow us on Spotify.
absolutely.
Awesome. See you over in the community.
Sounds good. Have a good night, everyone.